everyone. Welcome to the world's most famous podcast. I'm your hostess, Jacqueline Maddison. Today we feature Dr. Gloria Vanderhorst. She is a renowned psychologist with 50 years of experience, specializing in trauma healing. Her book, Read, Reflect, Respond, guides emotional recovery. Additionally, she supports high performers and couples. Her compassionate approach leads to lasting change. Her practice redefines mental health with empathy. Let's welcome Dr. Gloria Vanderhorst to the show. Nonetheless, welcome to the show. It's such an honor.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Yes, I am
really looking forward to the conversation.
Likewise, I'm sure you are a wealth of wisdom considering your extensive experience. Tell us, let's get started. What initially sparked your passion for psychology?
Actually, calculus 2.
Wow.
I was a math major. I loved math. As a kid, as a high schooler, I went to college to become a math teacher for high school students. And I had a plan. I wanted to finish in 3 years. I wanted to finish with a 4.0. I was on track to finish with a 4.0, calculus 2. They hired a new teacher straight out of Harvard. She faced the blackboard, never turned around to the class.
Wow.
Filled the blackboard with her right hand, erased with her left, following behind herself. And everybody was lost, absolutely lost. We tried to help ourselves. We tried to learn calculus 2 on our own. We didn't do such a hot job, but I got a D in the class. I was thrilled to pass and not to have to take it over again. I immediately flipped my major and my minor so I could hit my goal of graduating in the 3 years without the 4.0 due to the D in calculus 2.
Wow. What an interesting twist of fate, but as a Christian, the Bible says God laughs at man's plans. I suppose it was written in your stars, darling.
That's right. I was destined to do this work as a psychologist, no matter how much I loved math. And so, God just had to turn me around.
That's right.
And just make it so clear, right? You belong in psychology, play with math on your free time.
Yeah. So why focus on trauma healing across all ages, which I think is incredible and noble and so needed. But why that niche?
I think because my own history has trauma in it.
Yours and all of ours.
Everyone's,
so
right?
True. Unfortunately,
everyone has trauma. They don't realize the trauma that they have and the impact of that trauma. We know for certain, right? Research tells us for certain that we have memories from birth. Probably we have memories from the last trimester in utero. But we definitely have memories from birth, and those jump into the present without our knowing that that's what's happening.
Wow.
Right? And so that focus, that understanding that you can go back in history, you can identify an early trauma that you have had, and you can see how it jumps into the present. And once you see that, it's like, well, I don't have to be influenced by that anymore. I have choice now. And before that, you have no choice, right? You will be influenced by that trauma, whether you like it or not. And you will be influenced by that trauma, and you will not know that's what's happening.
That's powerful, and that's deep, but correct me if I'm wrong. Trauma doesn't necessarily always have to be childhood, because anything we experience, sometimes a breakup, abusive relationships, a strain on a parental relationship, a relationship with a sibling. Any experience we have in life can be traumatic to us emotionally, spiritually, sometimes physically, right? So I feel like we are constantly in need of healing.
Yes. Yes. Trauma happens over and over and over and over again in our lives. Sometimes it's a small T, right? Like a disappointment, right? I
Right.
wanted to be a math teacher and I couldn't. Sometimes it's a small T. Sometimes it's a big T, right? Someone abused me. Someone took advantage of me. Someone stole money from me. Someone blocked me from progressing in my profession. Big T's are very powerful, but little T's are powerful too.
Oh, and the little T's can really pack a punch. Obviously, I've had them myself. We're all in this human experience together. And those can be devastating, you know. So I see why there's a need for someone like you to offer the healing space and the process for healing. So what is that process? Talk to somebody who is in the aftermath of a traumatic experience, whether big T, small T. What's your recommendation at this point to move forward?
Yeah. The first thing is to start with building trust. I cannot help anyone unless they want to connect with me, right? And connection is a risk, right? It carries so much power to it that when you're developing a friendship, if you're working with a professional in therapy, trust is the key. And you have to take your time in order to establish that trust. Sometimes it can happen very quickly. But sometimes it just takes repetition, repetition, repetition before the other can really trust you. And then you can start to do the work.
Ah, I see. Right. So like with you, for example, they go into sessions with you, and it isn't until I'm sure several sessions in where you really are able to get into kind of the heart of the matter and into the deeper issues and the real needed healing there, because it takes some time to the layers of the onion, so to speak, to get to the point where we're ready to fully expose our deepest emotional self for the needed healing.
Yeah. Right. And that image was classic, right? We think of the onion and just peeling layer after layer after layer. It's true for all of us, right? Our histories are extensive. And every year of your life, you're going to have trauma, you're going to have struggles, you're going to have disappointments. Our brain holds on to all of it. That's the very interesting part.
Yeah, right. Isn't it? It's like we are not only physical, well, so I'm a Christian, so I have the paradigm of we're body, soul, and spirit, but we're interconnected, and we are experiencing this world in every aspect of our being. So like you said, you know, it affects us on every level. It's like we're extrasensory, right? So physically, emotionally, spiritually, it's like, wow, and then trauma hits and everything is impacted.
Right. And we know now through scientific studies that our DNA actually carries information from the past 3 generations. We can demonstrate that. It may be more than that, but at least the past 3. So also traumas that happen to grandparents, great-grandparents can jump into the present and impact you.
That is profound for me on so many levels, because it resonates with this sort of a core spiritual belief that I have about how, like generational curses even passed down, you know, alcoholism or things like that. And so, it's in your DNA. And so that's why there's so much needed healing on the deepest levels to break that out of our psyche, our bloodline, right? To kind of cleanse and purify and heal the DNA. Wow. So that's
Mhm.
scientifically proven now, huh? Very interesting.
That is scientifically proven that we have at least the last 3 generations. And as research develops, maybe there'll be more tags that are found. But I have a classic story from a client who, as I think she was 11 or 12, and she would have this nightmare. And she'd wake up in the middle of the night screaming, right?
Yeah.
And it was the same story over and over again. And finally, one of her grandparents told her, because as she told this, here's what's happening in
Yeah.
my nightmare. And one of her grandparents told her that a great grandparent had actually had that experience,
Wow.
right? So
Wow. Mind blowing.
it is mind-blowing. It was passed down through DNA, right? And I don't know why she was stimulated to have those dreams, what was happening for her that might have had some kind of parallels or some stimuli that triggered it. But every few weeks, she would have this same terrifying dream until she really understood and was told, oh, this is a true story that comes from your great grandmother. And then there was relief.
Wow, that's incredible. So, with that scientific understanding, there's also sort of neurological aspects at play, emotional, of course. But what role does neuroscience play in your methods of healing?
I think it's critical, right? Because we do have to understand that our brain is this fascinating organ,
Yes.
right? And it does hold on to every one of our memories. So we have evidence that in the last trimester of birth, that you're storing memories, you have your own birth experience stored in your brain. Everything gets packed away there. I mean, that's why it's so complicated, right? It has so many folds, it has so many cells.
Wow, yeah.
And
Sometimes I'm like, God, can you please just erase that memory? you know? But as you're
I
saying,
think
nope.
the truth of the matter is you don't want them erased,
Mm,
right? Because
yeah,
one
yeah,
of those early memories that you tap into, it can be healed,
yeah,
right? You can give attention to it. You can get relief. And then because it's an early memory, it's attached to, let's say, something at 5 years of age, actually gets attached to something at 10, which gets attached to something at 15, which
wow.
gets attached to something at 34. All right. So there's these strings of experience.
It's so fascinating because uh, as I've been going through my own healing journey, and I find like sometimes these memories do come back from
Yeah.
ages ago, and for me, like the Lord leads my life, and He'll tell me, He's like, a past lesson applies now, and then
Right.
my mind will spiritually recall that memory and bring it back to my mind's eye, and then the lesson is recalled, and then now I can
Right.
apply it. So we're so multi-dimensional and so
And
fascinating
you
how we
become
work.
more powerful as a result of that, right? So now you understand some connections that were disconnected before. Now
Yes.
they're available to you. You come into something that has a similar stimulus to it or a similar irritation, and you go like,
Right.
hey, I know this. I can
Yeah.
master this. I can approach this. I can respond to this. And so it's great that your brain holds on to everything.
It's true. It's like sometimes those negative memories hold vital lessons
Right.
that are necessary for our personal growth and development as we mature in this journey of life.
Right.
It's incredibly powerful.
I mean, it's a fascinating organ. If you think about, God designing this
Yes.
thing, right? It's
Yeah.
just like, it's a fascinating organ.
Absolutely. And I'm sure there's things about our very being that we can't even fathom at this point, but with our limited understanding that we have, and obviously with your extensive experience and education, these pearls of wisdom we're discussing now are so vital in understanding how we do work as human beings, as emotional, spiritual, physical beings, and how to achieve our optimal health and healing in body, soul, and spirit. So, so tell me, how do you then heal the unconscious wounds? Because the traumas are, direct assaults, others are hidden, not, those unconscious ones that are holding us back.
Well, I think that what happens is that you want to do the work to surface those memories, right? And to bring them into the present so that they make sense and that you can relate to them directly and that you can then have your own feeling states towards them. Injuries that have happened to you, you have the reaction and you hold on to that. But when you can access kind of the full picture, when you can watch the whole movie, right, you can take the role of you, the other, and we're empathetic beings.
Yes.
Right.
Absolutely.
So we can understand, even if we don't like and we have been injured by, we can still understand that that person who injured us also had their own history, right? Which might go back generations for them as well. And you can have empathy.
It's so true. There's this sort of slogan going around, hurt people, and it is very true. And I think as we all kind of awaken and come to the understanding of that fact and our innate need for healing throughout this journey of life, and we prioritize our healing through therapy or emotional exercises, through apologies, through whatever method is
and also through spiritual study, I think we
Oh, absolutely. For me, I attribute my healing solely to my relationship with God, because so the Bible calls the Holy Spirit for me this counselor, and literally that's what he does. He counsels me and us through our healing journey. And that's why the Bible says, pour your heart out to me because I care for you. And I find when I dealt with a trauma, big T, small t, I go into my room and I will cry. I'll cry to God. I'll pour it all out because you know what? He sees and knows everything, and he knows our deepest inner emotions that we could never share with anybody. And I find in those moments of complete vulnerability in the presence of God that I get the deepest healing, because one, I'm no longer, like you say, these unconscious emotions, it's like we're kind of brushing them under the rug, but now we have to be willing to acknowledge them, bring them to the surface, confront them so we can heal from them.
There's freedom in that.
Oh, so liberating. Yeah. I think we would live in a different world if everybody chose, like you said, it's a choice. We have to choose to want to heal those places that are still wounded.
Right.
Because that's the place, those unhealed wounds are the places from which we lash out. We get angry. We don't forgive. We harbor bitterness, But when the healing comes, it's almost like shining light in the darkness. It expels it, it dispels it, and now there's freedom and love and light and joy again, right?
That's a lovely image. You're right.
I just feel it. Well, that's what I've experienced, and we all need that. But now, you've written a book called Read, Reflect, and Respond, which I love. Tell us more about the book and its purpose.
So this book is written for adults down to teens, and it is a book of essays, but it's a very different type of a journal. So the left-hand page has an essay, And the right-hand page has 2 or 3 stimulating questions. You could read them or not read them,
Yeah.
but the right-hand page is blank, and it's blank purposefully.
Right.
Most journal books have lines on the right-hand page,
Mm.
and they want you to respond in words.
Right.
But trust me, right? Your
Yeah.
brain does hold words, right? But it also holds images and it holds actions. Those are the 3 ways that we represent the world around us. And we actually need the other 2 to tap into earlier experiences. I need to be able to engage in an action or a feeling in order to tap into earlier things. So the right-hand page is blank so that, yes, you could write some things on it. You could scribble, you could draw, you could use intense pressure to
Right.
respond to what's been stimulated inside of you. I
Yeah.
tell people you could tear the page if you want.
Right.
You'll run the essay on the other side,
Mm.
right? And have to
Mm-hmm.
take it back together.
Yep. I've
But
had
it's,
times in my journal writing where I've dug
yeah,
the pen in the page because my emotions
right.
were so powerful, and but
That's
it was
right.
needed. It was needed. Oh my gosh, that's brilliant. I love that, Gloria. Yes.
Thank you.
So it's not
Thank you.
only a guide through trauma recovery and one's healing, but it's also it's a workbook in a sense where it allows you to
It's
express.
definitely
Wow, that's beautiful. That's
right.
brilliant.
Definitely a workbook, and it can help to surface things that you were not aware of because you will have an emotional reaction to the essay
Yeah.
that you read. And those emotions can come out in a variety of ways. They don't have to come out in words. They could come out in actions. They could come out in drawings. They could come out intensely. They could come out softly.
Right.
And the blank page gives you the opportunity to really get a better sense of what has happened and what is happening inside of you because we carry these things forward
Oh, absolutely. And as you said, and as we've learned, we even pass them on.
and
So,
we pass them on.
so
Hmm.
can you tell us maybe a common myth about mental health, or maybe just something very important we need to all know and understand about mental health?
I think everyone needs to be able to recognize that you have been influenced by your parents and your grandparents, right? Those are the people that we tend to experience directly when we're alive, including aunts, cousins, uncles, right? All of these people deposit information and influence into us,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
That jumps into the present when we don't realize that it has jumped into the present.
Right.
And so it's valuable to really take a look at your own history, get release
Mm-hmm.
from the things that I will say don't belong to you,
Right.
right? Some of these things that have been passed to you, you think about, maybe we'll think of each one of them as a stone, right? Maybe a
Mm-hmm.
tiny little pebble, right? But I have to put it in my pocket. I have to put it in my backpack. I have to put it down my shirt. I have to hold on to all of these, right? Well, I'm covered with them. I'm buried in
Right.
them. And as I am able to identify, oh, that's grandmother's perception of me,
Yeah.
not me, right? I can
Mm-hmm.
dump it. It doesn't belong to me. So when I do that, I become more real. I
Yes.
become the that I was designed to be.
Yes, it's so powerful because in my own journey of my own self discovering my self identity and the formation of my healthy self-image. Sometimes I've looked in the mirror and had visuals of my uncle or my grandmother, and maybe I had negative associations with certain things, and then I did find that somehow fed into my own self-image, and so learning to disassociate from these influences is so necessary for our growing into the fullness of our own God-given identity.
It enables you to grow and become the person you were designed to be from the very beginning.
That's right. So how do family dynamics, as we've been talking about, influence the healing process then? Now, we've talked about how some of them could be causated, could cause some of the damage, for lack of a better word. What about healing?
Well, we are born connected to another person. We spend our entire lives seeking connection. Right. So it is very clear that connection to another person is really necessary for health for us. It's necessary for healing. Right. And so if you are fortunate enough to have a friend or a spouse, a cousin, an aunt, an uncle, someone that you can trust and connect with and share things with, that can speed up the process of healing. Right. We are all born connected to another person, and we want that connection for the rest of our lives.
It's so true. And then also sometimes the Lord will tell me, he speaks to me through my spirit, and he'll be like, the relationships with those around you are important in learning about yourself. Right. So sometimes these relationships around us, and especially family, are necessary in our own self-reflection and learning about things maybe we need to change, forgiveness we need to give, and things like that. Mm-hmm. It's very powerful.
We can find our own strengths, our own weaknesses, always in interaction with others. And we want, hopefully, to find a trusted individual who can give us honest feedback.
Yes, absolutely.
Who can hold us accountable and tell us the truth about ourselves, or challenge us to look at different aspects.
Yes. Absolutely. So now, knowing that we're all going to be facing big T traumas, small T traumas as we move forward in life, what are some strategies you suggest for building emotional resilience so that when we're knocked down, so to speak, we can bounce back and get up and keep moving forward to grow?
So learn about yourself. All right, be interested, be curious enough to really take a deeper dive into learning about yourself. So when you have the opportunity, all right, gatherings at a holiday, family reunions, take that opportunity to learn about yourself, all right, to gather pieces of history, stories about yourself, about your relatives, about the whole dynamic of the family system. That's very important to kind of, it's the more detail, the more history you have, the easier it is to begin to understand how you've been shaped and how you've been formed. That's really critical for all of us.
Yes, absolutely. So how do you empower clients for personal growth then? Whether it's through a trauma healing or a life transition, what's your process for empowering others for their personal growth?
Yeah, power comes from safety. We have to experience ourselves in a safe relationship with another person before we can take the risk of opening up, of reflecting internally, of challenging ourselves, of really exploring. So a safe container is critical. So the relationship that you establish with another human being, as I said, we're born connected. We seek connection and we find safety in that connection. So, just think about the fetus developing in a womb. It is a very safe container. And I
Yes.
am connected to another human being. I need that to repeat in the rest of my life in order to take the risk of
Right.
self-discovery and to take that
Yes.
deeper dive into what are my injuries, what are my influences, how do I go about healing?
Yeah, and it's so true. And that's why marriage, I think, is such an important covenant between two human beings to choose to commit to each other, to create this safe space and environment where being vulnerable with each other through your journey of self-discovery and personal growth independently, but also together, as a union is so important, So marriage is a beautiful thing, and you deal with couples. So, how do you help couples resolve conflicts?
I would say slowly but surely,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Helping people to understand themselves and take the risk of sharing that with their spouse is very important.
Right.
And often, right, spouses kind of travel in parallel. They don't really do a lot of sharing about either their early histories, their current injuries, their current needs. And so educating them about how to hold the experience of the other. You
Yes.
have tons of experiences every day,
Right.
and having your spouse be able to hear those and hold those and support you in problem solving through things that
Right.
need problem solving is
Yeah,
really critical.
it's so true. And that's why commitment in marriage is so important because, at the first sign of emotional instability or outbursts or confusion, that people run for the hills. They're out. But true marriage is committing long term till death do us part. Let's get back to, the covenant vow, so that you can uncover all of our deepest traumas and heal through that. Couples who really do work through their problems and heal through their unconscious wounds together have the most successful and happy thriving marriages over time because they're willing to commit and they're willing to create that safe space for healing for one another and grow together. And that's a beautiful thing, and I think that's what God always intended for marriage to be.
I believe you are absolutely right. You're
you
right on.
know Yeah. So what about your approach to anxiety and depression, which I'm sure a lot of people unfortunately deal with?
I think there's a ton of reason to deal with that, all right, in terms
Yeah.
of culture, in terms of world, just in terms of even the atmosphere, right? We're
Yeah.
wrestling right
It's true.
now
It's
with
true.
global warming, right? What will happen to us if we keep getting hotter and hotter and hotter? How much can we tolerate? And so it's critical that we have safe interactions with other people, that we have groups that we can interact with, and
Yeah.
that we have kind of a larger context where we feel like we really belong. It's that sense of belonging
Yeah.
that is important. And that's really what happens in utero, right? Is
Yeah.
that you belong in this space and it's
Mm.
safe and it's
Mm.
comfortable. And so we seek that in our relationships for the rest of our lives. We
Right.
want to have that sense
Yeah.
of belonging and acceptance.
Well, and like you said, just in our environment and even in the world, the landscape of the world, there's a lot of instability and uncertainty, and those things can play on our emotions and our nerves, and can be catalysts for anxiety and depression and things like that. For me, I've always, again, found sort of my peace and comfort and certainty in my relationship with the Lord. So I always encourage people, to have their spiritual grounding, their spiritual safe space. And because, obviously being of the Christian faith, Jesus promises to give us peace that surpasses understanding, peace that the world can't ever give us, And it's supernatural, and it's something that it puts our spirit at ease, and that transcends anything sort of physical, emotional, or material, and that's so important. And we need that now more than ever, because it's getting very unusual these days. So,
well, actually, I don't think that it's getting probably any more unusual these days than it was unusual for the caveman. It has always been challenging. It has always been difficult. It has always been kind of unusual in the context in which people have been placed. That's our challenge.
Yeah.
Right? We are challenged to face the world around us, and hopefully our goal is to improve it.
Yeah.
Right? Not to just accept it, but to add value to it.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
I think that's been hard in every generation.
It's true. Yeah. Well, and obviously, in light of whatever circumstances and world happenings, the unfortunate reality is there is good and there is evil. And so it's like, how do we find the peace in the midst of that, right? So it's doing our emotional healing work so that our inner beings can be whole, and and then also not neglecting our spiritual selves. And that's why I love your book. And so it's read, reflect, and respond. And this is not only a guide for anyone who's experiencing or has experienced trauma or current transitions and disappointments, but it's a workbook.
And it is a workbook for emotional growth for anyone and everyone.
So this book is for every single person on the planet.
That's true.
Because we all need to do the work.
Find it any place in the world too. You can walk into any bookstore.
Yeah, that was my next question. Where can they get it? Can they get it on Amazon? What's your website? How can people reach you? How can they work with you?
Well, the book can be found on Amazon easily. You can find me on the web at www.drvanderhorst.com, which is www.drvanderhorst.com. The website is full of tons of information. It has all the blogs on there. It has demonstrations of different types of therapy approaches. It has how to contact me. It has access to where you can purchase the book. So it's a great resource for anybody.
Fantastic. Well, I want to tell you it's been such an honor to spend some time with you today. Thank you so much for enlightening us on the reality of how we can heal and how important it is for us to heal, and for sharing your extensive experience and education with us, and putting it in a book. I always say all of us need to write a book, but you put it in a book, but not only just a book we can read and learn from, but a book that we can use and do the work, because the healing comes when we do the work.
That's right.
Wow. So it's just brilliant.
I've enjoyed talking with you as well, Jacqueline. It's been lovely.
Oh, good. I'm so glad. Well, I hope to meet you in person one day soon. I wish you all the best, and look forward to having you on the show in the future, and hopefully hearing of a second book.
Well, I do have a second one that will come out at the first of the year, which is a continuation of the Read, Reflect, Respond.
Well, there we go. So the healing work can continue. I love it. You're a blessing. Lots of love. God bless you. Thank you, Gloria.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful day. We'll see you next time.
All right. Bye.
Bye.